everyone. Thanks for stopping by the Silurian Scorpion, where I show you all things arthropod. What is an arthropod? An arthropod is, very simply, an invertebrate animal with an exoskeleton, segmented body, and paired, jointed appendages. Animals such as insects, crustaceans, and my favorites, the arachnids, are all arthropods. My name is David, and I've been breeding scorpions since 2006. I started with emperor scorpions and have since kept a variety of different species throughout the years. On today's video, we are going to look at the mating behavior of the scorpion. Mating for scorpions begins when the male vibrates his whole body sort of in a pulsating routine where he'll vibrate, stop, vibrate again, stop, vibrate again. And the whole point of that is to get the female's attention. And she can tell that he is a male interested in mating just by the particular vibration that he is signaling to her. Once the male has the female's attention, he will basically, in most species, do something very similar to spanning his pincers or pedipalps out with hers. Basically, the reason for that is to grasp her pincers or pedipalps, to guide her around, sort of in what looks like a dance. Some scorpion species will lock their pedipalps together and their chelicera, which is their mouth parts, almost looking like they are kissing. And other ones will lock the pincers together or pedipalps and then the mouth parts, and then only hold on with the chelicera or mouth parts, while others still will lock the pedipalps together and just guide the female around using the pedipalps alone. And here you can see the male flat rock scorpion has the female precisely in the position that he wants her in, so that he has an easy time guiding her around to the area that he wants to deposit his spermatophore. So here you will see another species of scorpion as they also proceed to lock their pedipalps together. And you'll notice if you look at the female, she takes and moves her tail or metasoma and kind of wiggles it, signaling the male that she's receptive and waiting on him. Here we have a well-known species, the emperor scorpion, and again you can see the tail twitching by the female, definitely signaling that she's receptive. Again, more tail twitching with this pair, and you can see that the male is actually performing his little vibrating dance. I don't think I mentioned this before, but the vibrating that the male performs is called juddering. Even though scorpions have 8 eyes, their vision is not very good. They really see no more than the difference between light and dark and can't distinguish actual shapes. So as you can see right here, sometimes the male has a hard time finding the correct end of the female to grab onto. And sometimes it takes a little more effort by the male to get the female's attention. With the deathstalker scorpion, the male seems to find it more important to find the spot that he'd prefer to attach his spermatophore and seems to only lightly hold on to the female's pedipalps with his own. It's also noticeable that the male continues his juddering throughout the entire process. While the deathstalker scorpion seems very sporadic with his way of doing things, the flatrock scorpion, once in the position he prefers, seems to be very steady and only rocks very slowly in comparison. Sometimes mating is not so harmonious, even with the flatrock scorpion. If you look here, you can see that the male is using his metasoma and the stinger, or telson, at the end to sting the female to calm her down. The male has a much longer metasoma than the female and is clearly adapted to be able to use a sting for mating. Once the female is calm, it's business as usual. As you can see here, the male red-clawed scorpion is using his telson in much the same way as the flatrock. In this scene here, you can see this pair of emperor scorpions trying to sting each other. It seems as though the male is trying to initiate a sting, while the female is doing it in more of a defensive manner. Once the male and female scorpions are paired up, it pretty much comes down to the male's choice of location. He's going to move around and try to find the best spot to deposit the spermatophore. It might take a few minutes, it might take hours. It just depends on the species. It also depends on how picky the male is about his preferred spot. In these time-lapse videos, you can really see the large amount, and in some cases small amount, of travel that the scorpions go through as they make their mating journey. Something else that the male is using to find his preferred spot is a pair of organs underneath the scorpion called pectines. Once the male finds his preferred spot, usually being a hard surface like a rock or a piece of bark, he will then proceed to slightly shift back and forth, and it'll go slower and slower until he's very still with the female, and then it'll pick back up again until it turns into a very heavy rocking motion. So what's basically happening is the male finds his spot on the solid surface to attach his spermatophore. He attaches the spermatophore when he's holding very still, and then he begins to rock, tugging on the female to pull her over the spermatophore, hence fertilizing the female. There will be a point where the tugging will suddenly stop and everything will get very still, except for, in some cases, the female will start to have random spasms of twitching. Once the twitching happens, that is when I know the female has definitely been fertilized. Everything will be peaceful for only about a few seconds, and then everything gets tense after that. Once the mating is complete, it's the stage I call the fight or flight for the male. He's got to get out of there, he wants to get out of there, but if he can't get out of there and he's in a corner, he's gonna fight just long enough to get himself an opening to leave. The female, on the other hand, has switched into murder mode. She is not playing around anymore, and she's pretty much going to chase the male down or do whatever it takes to get him out of her way, even if it comes to killing him and possibly eating him. In some cases, I will bring in the tongs and interfere because the male actually does back himself into a corner, and I do worry for his safety. In some cases, the female is already gravid and she will show no signs of being interested in mating, no tail twitching or anything of that manner. The male will still vibrate to show an interest in mating, but once he realizes the female is not responding to his advances, he will quickly turn tail and run. In this case, the female is not all that aggressive, so he doesn't have much to worry about. Oftentimes, I have to tell people about the gestation of this and other similar species. It is very long. We're talking over a year of gestation from the time they mate to the time they give birth. So many people just don't have the patience to realize that their scorpion is already pregnant and it just needs to gestate long enough for the babies to form and grow. While I wanted to focus on the physiology or behavior of the scorpion in this video, and mainly save the morphology or anatomy for another video, I thought it was important to at least show you all what different spermatophores look like in a variety of photos here. Thanks again for checking out my YouTube video today. I hope it was both educational and inspirational. I plan to produce other videos on scorpion care, behavior, anatomy, as well as a video on tarantula mating behavior. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time.